Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML Podcast. I am your host, Joe. Joining as usual, we've got Jacob and Aki. How are you two doing?
I'm doing great.
Don't care.
And that's nice. Fuck you, too.
Jacob, how are you doing?
I mean,
don't care.
Damn it. Okay.
Yep. Okay. We have guests today that I do care about.
Dang, so harsh.
Erik Peabody, Viking Guitar, is here. Chunkstyle
Hello.
Dan Taylor is here. And the one and only Alexander Brandon is here. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
All right.
Just fine. Thanks for asking.
It's a pleasure to have you guys on. You just released a song together. What the hell's that all about?
There's a long version and a short version.
The short version is probably y'all need money.
Yeah, that is the short version. And we decided to, play thrash covers of old DOS music. That's the path to wealth. But Alex, you can probably tell the first part of the story pretty well.
Sure. I mean, I was 18, 19, something like that. And this was after a year or two of playing around with the ad-lib synthesizer card that came out for PC, and I was enthralled with it. It had a visual composer and piano roll notation, so I started writing music with that. And my friend Jason Emery was at the same time doing a parallax scrolling engine for what would eventually become the game Tyrian. It's a shooter that's got some fans. It's free on Good Old Games. It was one of the first free games that they offered. As it turns out, a bunch of people, a bunch of people have enjoyed it. It is a crazy shooter because it's got like this story that starts kind of run of the mill, but then gets absolutely insane after a little bit. We took inspiration from Thunderforce and Xanac and all kinds of other things. But yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to write ad-lib themes that then got converted into almost Genesis sounding stuff on the same card by this guy Andreas Molnar, and so that made the soundtrack extra awesome. So thanks to him for that. But then someone called Erik Peabody heard those tunes.
I did. When I was about 10, we moved from the bustling metropolis of Santa Cruz, California, up to the Santa Cruz Mountains, which was very remote when you're 10. And I found myself doing a lot of computer stuff out of nowhere. And that included jumping into the rise of the whole shareware game thing. So when, my folks would drag us down to the store for whatever, they had the little spinny rack with various games. And among the games I got, one of them was the shareware version of Tyrian. And I loved it. I loved the music even back then before I was doing music, and loved the game. I was probably 11, and I remember playing it 2-player, hot seat, like one person is doing half of the keyboard and the mouse, the other has the other half of the keyboard, with my sister, who was like probably 7 or 8 at the time. But I played it, and as my gaming career continued, I would think of it somewhat frequently, and I grabbed it when Good Old Games offered it and played it again. And in those interim years, I got into music, and through various connections, Alex and I met up and did a few things together. And then in 2020, now you might not remember 2020. It's best known for VGMCon. That's the best thing that happened in 2020. But
anything else happened that year? I'm trying to think.
That was the only thing of note.
Yeah.
But at VGMCon, Alex was going to be a guest, and Ryan Megabeardo and I were doing a 2-person Viking guitar set, and I'd been kind of toying around with the idea of arranging some Tyrian music and tossing it Alex's way for a while. But I'm like, hey, if we're all going to be here, it'll be super easy for us to just arrange a 7-minute song and all of us learn it and then just perform it live there for the first time. What could fucking go wrong? And so that didn't happen. But I finished the arrangement, and then we ended up deciding to record it. What was that? 1.5 years ago, I think. It was a while.
Yeah.
Because I got I got finished audio from everyone in February of 22.
Wow.
And then just with various obligations and getting video together and just all the little things, I kept putting off mixing it because I had other stuff going on. We finally got it done, and I think it's great. And I think it's amazing that it's out, and I really enjoy that we got to do it. We got Alex to be a part of it, which is incredible.
It was an honor to be a part of it. I mean, yeah, I would see you all up on VGMCon rocking out, and one of the greatest things for me over the years is having seen just grassroots. We just want to play bands like Descendants of Erdrick in places like Austin. Oh, this must have been 12 years ago at least. And when things like MAGFest were not just getting going, it had already been around, but that was the first I had heard of like bands getting together and playing video game music. And so, that blew my mind, but they weren't exactly super practiced instrumentalists, and they didn't care. And so but over the years, they've had time to practice. They've all gotten better. And so, when I hear guitar music from Viking or from Megabeardo or quite a few other guitar players. Well, actually, I think technically the first guitar that I had heard that just blew my mind was Stemage and Metroid Metal.
Fuck that guy.
And yeah, he makes everybody look bad, right? And then he goes, "No, you're making me look bad," and we're like, "Go to hell." Yeah, it really is the other way around. I was listening to that, my jaw dropped. Being a Metroid fan.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
hard to see. Yeah. So being a big Metroid fan, I heard that, and I was just like, "What?" And then Jimmy Henson sends me a remix of an Unreal Tournament theme. And most of the themes that I'd gotten, were, I loved the passion, and I was just like, hey, it's great that you like my stuff. And then I would listen to it and go, way to go. I wouldn't necessarily say like, yeah, let's put this in the latest project, and then things started to change, like stuff that I was getting that was either, whether it was in honor of my work or not, was better by far than the stuff I was doing, which is great because it's inspirational, right? Like, Rob Kovacs is one of those folks. The work that Erik's done over the years, not least which is his mastering. I had him master the Wasteland 3 soundtrack as well, and that was an amazing job. Latest album I just did, Omegaforce, he mastered. So, this is like a bona fide pro audio segment of the music industry that is a force to be reckoned with, and that just it's always mind blowing to me. So to be able to collaborate with that is still kind of mind blowing.
Very cool.
You turned it around, man.
You guys keep mentioning VGMCon. I unfortunately have yet to get to that one. I don't have a way to really get to where is it? Minnesota?
Yeah, it's just outside Minneapolis, right? It's in Minnetonka.
Yeah, I think.
It's so far for me, and I'm a super big guy, so I can't really do the whole airplane thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should find a bus ticket to Minneapolis and just,
some people drive to MAGFest from North Dakota.
Yeah. Very true. I drive. Well, MAGFest is the only thing I get to every year, pretty much, and that's where I met you, Alex, through our good friend Flick, who sends his well wishes from Lake Michigan as he's collecting fossils tonight. He ran into a Radio Shack, an actual physical Radio Shack,
one that's still open.
Yeah, he took a picture of it.
No,
I know. And Jacob is like, "Oh, they exist." I'm like, "Fucking where?"
Yeah, exactly.
I miss having that, man.
I needed one this week.
Run down.
Actually.
Yeah.
Or a Fry's, but they're gone too.
Yeah, or a Circuit City, anything. Like Best Buy doesn't really sell cables unless it's just normal AV hookup stuff,
Hey, dude, you want some car speakers?
and that, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Can I pivot the conversation briefly?
Yeah.
Dan, what did you need a Radio Shack for? Have anything to do with that wood you've got on the table there?
Excuse me? No. Actually, I had to fix something unrelated to that.
You could have just run with it, man.
I know. No, if you want to talk about this base I'm building, that's fine, but that's not really why we're here. From scratch.
Tell us about the base you're building.
Yeah, tell us about the base you're building.
Okay, fine. Yeah, let's make it about me.
Pillow fort?
Dan, you said one word since the stream started.
Let's do everything you want.
I'm just happy to be here. They never let me come to these things. So I'm just... the bass players never get to show up. But anyway, this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been building with my own two hands. This doesn't even have strings on it. What kind of bass is this crap? Anyway,
it's like you could beat the shit out of someone with that thing.
And I
I'm impressed.
I just might. But
Brian Schmidt of Midway fame, and he ran Xbox Audio. He made the original Xbox boot up sound. Yeah, he's a big deal. He's like a mentor of sorts. He runs the Game Audio Network Guild right now, but he's a bass player. And I was trying to think. There's jokes that George Sanger, the Fat Man, makes about bass players, like couldn't find the beat, or I don't know, stuff like that. But I completely crashed and burned that one. I'll have to look it up.
We're very happy to.
I've heard all of them, so that's fine.
Dan, what's your favorite bass player joke?
Actually, most bass player jokes and drummer jokes are interchangeable. I guess, how do you know that bass player's at the door? They keep knocking faster and faster.
That's a good one. Man, I'm almost tempted to Google the best bass player / drummer jokes.
Oh, do it.
Dan, I have a question for you that's actually somewhat topical. Did you ever get big into the whole, DOS era, early Windows era gaming stuff, like up through, maybe Windows 95 and before, say?
Well, here's the thing. I used my Commodore 64 up until I got my first PC, which was a Pentium.
So you kind of skipped that.
I skipped a whole generation, yeah. But I can hold court on some C64 if you want to do that. But no, I don't know anything about any of this.
Once again, you could have just run with it, man.
Yeah, I could have.
I
told you I've been trying to be less so. I could have made a bunch of stuff up.
Your dishonesty is one of your most endearing qualities.
Look. If we're going to need to establish my bona fides, hang on a second. Here.
I can't see that.
Hey. Okay, yeah.
CD. What is the CD of? I can't tell.
Oh,
Unreal.
Yeah.
That's Unreal.
I bought this in when it was
At
new.
2 p.m. today.
I just got it off eBay.
So yeah, no, that's been in my collection since the late 90s. So I deserve to be here.
I see somebody mentioned Matt Booty used to work for Midway Games, and yes, he did, and yes, he is the one that runs Xbox Gaming right now.
Yep.
He went from being a sound guy. Yes, a sound guy at Midway very early on to moved from there to being a programmer. From being a programmer, he became some kind of junior lead to a senior lead to a producer to VP of Midway Games. From there, I think there was an interim position somewhere else, and now head of. He's a good guy. He's smart. He's a good human. For an executive, and I mean, really, like it's chatting with him. You don't sort of like squinch up your nose and go, okay, you're on crack in some way, shape, or form, and you've forgotten what being a human being is like. No, he's very down to earth and pretty level headed at the same time as, saying stuff like, okay, here's our master strategy, and you're like, oh, okay, that's not something I would have thought of. All right.
I would love to be able to chat with someone on that level of Microsoft. I would. Like, we're big Xbox fans on this show. Like, we cover everything, but we lean towards the green side.
So do we, differently.
Womp womp. Are we all high right now?
No.
I wish.
Jacob, I wish. What's stopping you, Jacob?
I was talking about the green color scheme, Joe.
Oh.
Yeah, man, those neon strings and I think the shoelaces too sometimes. I mean,
it took me a minute, Joe. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Oh.
I thought you were talking about the green side.
Green side.
Oh.
We're talking Route 420.
I don't even remember what the topic. Oh, I would love to chat with someone from Microsoft. I think that'd be really cool.
I didn't used to know anybody there, and there's people that I know there that have become part of Microsoft because it is like Sauron drawing all evil to it at the moment, right? They lost that, or they won the case where they could buy Activision Blizzard. So
some breaking news: the FTC pulled out of their claims against Microsoft. They just pulled out like 2 hours ago.
It's crazy. Wonder if there's any money involved.
Probably.
Well, the people that got sucked in before that were both Obsidian, that I was lucky enough to start their audio department, and very then cool. After that, In Exile, which worked on for Wasteland 2, 3, Torment, and they have just announced their latest steampunk game on whatever the Xbox Game Pass show or. And now I'm thinking Spinal Tap. We're doing the Nor mode, the Nor mode Dome or whatever. 50,000 C. Yeah. So it's there's quite a few people that are under that umbrella now, and the notion is, yes, we make our games like Netflix puts out stuff, and we provide a streaming service, and that's the new model. As we see, there are some growing pains to these new models, whether they're, I'm sure, games, but definitely on the streaming side. Yes, the actors' strike and the writers' strike is going on because of that bottom line situation. So, I don't know if we want to get into all that right now. But yeah,
I do have a quick question, Alex. Just an easy yes or no one. But has that impacted you at all in any voice stuff, or have you not been involved in any of that at this point?
Very good question. So the studio negotiators that are being struck against are the representatives from film and TV. Okay. The interactive agreement is, as far as I know, not affected by this. So game-based stuff is still on. I don't do TV and film streaming, or I haven't for a really long time. And so, I do commercial stuff once in a while for radio and sometimes web. So that's, yes, thankfully my gigs are safe for the time being. Good. And the actors that I'm working with on the projects that I'm doing are safe. Yeah,
even better. Yeah. My
the whole strike situation is, it's like, why do rich people have to just shit all over everyone else?
Well, why not?
Why can't they share the wealth? I mean, I don't know. I don't see the point of executives making fistfuls of money while the actors and the voice actors and the writers are getting paid jack shit. It's stupid.
It is a generational, ongoing, eternal, and perpetual question. So yeah, like I don't know what it is that makes, like, once in a while you'll hear about a CEO that says, okay, everybody's getting $70K at the company and I'm getting $70K too, right? We hear like one story in a blue moon out of all the rest, and then you turn around and Bobby Kotick from Activision, ends up like, hey, he'll clear $600 million from just the deal to buy Activision Blizzard. While I'm sure there will be layoffs in the process. That was one thing that I liked about Matt Booty, is that during the talk within Exile, the whole notion was, listen, yes, we become your publisher. You do what you do. Like you set the goals for your games. You decide what the designs are going to be. You put your passions into it. We do not step all over it and say this is our global. Yeah. And that was the main reason why they were like, wow, this sounds like a great deal. Now, that could have been because at the time, their plan was to say, listen, these people just have a track record. Let's just have them make shit. And so they, obviously Bethesda's a pretty proven track record in Exile. We'd put out some decent games at that point. Obsidian was the same thing. So hopefully that pans out. You're never sure. It's always like there's got to be a new concept, new idea, new revenue stream, new whatever in terms of pleasing the stockholders and all of these. I seriously consider like the status quo across the board to be like is in dire need of a big revamp. It could be government. It could be, how social stuff happens. It could be gender relations. It could be, we're seeing all kinds of slow upheavals where people are like, why is it this way? Well, it's just been that way before. And then it's like, well, that's our first cue to change it. Yeah. And it's actually just tiptoeing in that direction. And I do like that. Yes, maybe that indirectly means I lose my job next month or something like that. I'll figure something out, Yeah. If status quo means just, okay, I just got to get my hands on the money over all else. Yes, I have to feed my kids, but I think that's a good thing.
Well, you would be fine because you got that $10,000 licensing agreement for us to cover Tyrian, that was your first demand when I hit you up, if I remember
right.
correctly. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that all went to taxes, unfortunately. So, yeah.
And Joe's weed.
Yeah.
and your neon strings.
It's true.
You're like, I'll give you the 10. Here's part of the contract, right?
Yeah, but I got something I need from you.
Exactly, yeah.
$18 pack of guitar strings. Alex, I have a question for you about Tyrian. What was the range of emotions when I hit you up and said, hey, I want to cover a bunch of Tyrian music. I think it's going to be really fun. We want you involved. We need you to learn the keyboard parts. What was the range of excitement through that?
Yeah, it's the deer in headlights. Because I was like, first of all, there's, somebody I've known a while, Well,
I didn't even know if you'd ever played that stuff on keys or just, done it through. I assumed it was a tracker or something.
It was Visual Composer, so it's just draw the notes out on a piano roll type thing, but it was a similar thing, and it's another good thing, right? Because the first time I ever really performed anywhere in any degree of seriousness was there was a MAGFest where I was able to go on with good old Gordy Hobb and Darren Korb and Gareth Coker. And Videri string quartet, and of course they're
Videri's great.
They're dyed in the wool players, right? Now, anybody know what the quote I'm talking about? A dyed in the wool killer. Anybody know what that's from?
Ringing the bell. I can't place it.
Yeah, it's Fifth Element. I've got a disease.
Gary Oldman.
Randomly throw out quotes.
Yeah.
So yeah, dyed in the wool players. They were great, and everybody's like, "Don't worry about it, man. You're going to be fine if you need help." Et cetera, et cetera. I was petrified, and it was 6 weeks, and I think I put in at least a couple hours a day on learning this relatively simple stuff. I don't, the stuff that we were playing was not, Rachmaninoff or crazy Steve Vai level soloing or anything like that. So even so, we got into that first rehearsal, and I was like, oh God, but then you mentioned it, and that, that of course, I have the thought of, okay, I'm scared, but, we should still perform it. We should look at if we can get into MAGFest, if we can get into VGMCon, if I can, rattle people's, and of course, make sure that this, it's just sort of a not shoe in, but just as a section of maybe an overall Viking Guitar performance or an overall Mega Beard or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I would like to be able to do it live and put the work in.
I think all five of us would also. I think it's a fun song to play too, just from
it is.
the physicality of playing it on the instrument is fun. So,
are you guys going to try getting into MAGFest this year?
MAGFest wasn't too interested in Viking Guitar this year,
really?
But maybe the following year. We'll see.
What the hell, MAGFest, you dicks?
It's they only have like 2,000 performers applying, I'm sure. So
the scene is so much different than it was when MAGFest first started, when there was only a handful of bands to begin with, and now there's so many video game bands, cover bands, performers, just groups that have met together online, and just they don't even play unless it's at MAGFest.
Well, I know those bastards.
How could they? I love it. I love the community of MAGFest and VGMCon, of how it just brings everybody together, and you get fans performing with composers, and it's cool as shit.
Yeah. Well, was it? It was not Frank's thing. It was Tiberian Sons, and no, it was Frank's thing. Frank Lepecki. Him and Tony's group were just over in somewhere in the Eastern European area. I forget the name of the country. But
was it the Czech Republic or something?
It might have been the Czech Republic. But yeah, like Nate and Tony and Connor and all them and Max. I'm blanking on their drummer's name right now, but they were all over there and doing a thing, and apparently it was a killer turnout. But yeah, that thing started with Tony just reaching out to Frank Lepecki, being like, "Hey, I'm a fan of your music, and I'm also a virtuoso level guitarist and bassist and keyboardist."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Tony's ridiculously talented.
He's very good,
and so humble. It's almost pushy in my book.
It drips off him. He's got the hair too. He's got the right hair for the job.
He really
oh my
does.
God! And he is a handsome son of a bitch.
He is.
He is.
He reminds me a little of like an even younger Petrucci. You know, like if I could picture, like, you know, maybe without, you know, the.
Yeah, Petrucci's gone so feral now, it's kind of hard to immediately bring it to mind.
Petrucci's gone feral.
Well, have you seen him? I mean, he's looking more like Zakk Wylde these days, you know?
I have, and like, well, I don't know if any of you have seen, there's a video that somebody, maybe it was like Scandinavian, like they had an accent that sounded in that region. And so like you have Petrucci just pointing out his gear, and so the overlay of this guy's voice is, yeah, so like this the guitar that I use to, like, you know, to shoot lasers and destroy the sun. Yes. So like I can destroy the sun with this, and so
it's very Metalocalypse,
and this plays hotter than the sun, and it's like, and it fits. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Beautiful.
I would like to play this live, and I think we'll be able to make it happen. You know, it's not going to happen right away, but well, that was part of the reason I really wanted to make sure we had a video playthrough of it at least. Also, you know, because I don't know, I think that's a fun thing. I think that we all live so far away from each other, like even with just, you know, the 5 of us in the group. Doing the whole video thing kind of is the little reminder for me that this is all actually happening, you know, and not just, oh yeah, it's just audio, you know.
And I can't thank you enough for making it happen and putting the love and the time that you did into that, because that's just, it's no small feat to arrange it, to coordinate it, to, you know, with the pieces of video, to do the editing. I mean, hell, you helped me with my fucking Kickstarter video, dude. You're like, yeah, there's like,
oh my God, I forgot.
There's a couple of adjustments.
The one for Just Fun, right?
I could totally, Just Fun one. And I was like, well, yeah, sure. And that was at a time when I was just like, there was, people would help me with things or play on things. And I'll just say this, I was just like, I didn't set up like solid, like, let's compensate you like for everything, right? Like I'm doing that now. But like, you know, I know there's people that sometimes I will throw out something and just be like, well, Tyrian soundtrack is free. You know, I'm not charging for it. People can listen to it to their heart content. They can download it, whatever. But you know, there's most of the time, like I never make that assumption if I reach out to somebody and do like whatever. But like, it's like there was a point at which like something changed where I was like, okay, there's value. There's something, but you're doing, I mean, it's a lot of work you did. And it always blows me away when passion is what generates that. So like,
and I mean, that is what it is. Like, you know, you were talking about, it's a bunch of work and different disciplines and stuff, but like that is, you know, I like doing production on other people's albums, and I like, you know, narrating horror stories and the stuff I do for my income. But I'm thinking about wanting to get to work on whatever I've got, you know? And Tyrian, it was super cool. Like, it checked a bunch of boxes, because not only is it, you know, just on the purest level, it's fun music, you know, it's in a minor key first off, so automatically I like it. But but you know, it's well written, it's exciting, it has cool ideas, and the way it executes those ideas is cool, and I love the way it sounds through the original hardware. And then I was stoked with the arrangement. Like, Alex, I don't think you do as much like taking of other stuff and arranging it as I do, because you actually write your own music. But you know, it's that same thing of like, when you're writing something, that latent feeling of like, I'm going to do my best, but I know I'm going to fuck it up. You know, it's that same feeling when you're doing a cover or an arrangement, but it has the bonus of, I'm going to fuck it up, and everyone else already knows what the definitive version sounds like. But I was super stoked with how this one turned out. And the fact that like, I kind of rushed it because we were, you know, on a deadline for what I thought was a deadline for VGMCon. And then the fact that I didn't open the project for like 2 years. And then when I listened through it again, I'm like, yeah, this fucking rocks. We don't have to change anything. Let's do it, you know? And then watching the videos is always fun, because I get moments of, you know, Dan dancing when there's just guitar tapping going on. And, you know, that shot of you rocking out during one of the guitar breaks, I was like, whenever I do the video stuff, I first go through all the footage and I make markers for hero moments. And those are things that I'd like to prioritize if there's nothing else essential going on at that point. And both you, Alex, and Dan were doing like really awesome, enthusiastic, like movement type stuff then, because I think it was during one of the guitar breaks. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I can't put both of them in there.
Embarrassment of riches.
Anyway,
we'll do another version, and we'll put Dan in there. We'll call it the Dan edition.
The Dan Rector's cut.
Well, the problem with that is I'd done like 5 or 6 takes in a row, because I didn't want to stitch anything together. I didn't want to I didn't want to edit anything. So all the takes that I did were just full through takes, and I only sent the last one to Erik, and it was kind of. Did I send 2? Okay, the last 2 then.
The one wasn't viable. The one was like super sped up and lasted 20 seconds.
Oh, right. That was
20-minute workouts on my machine.
I accidentally set my camera to time lapse. Yeah, that's right. So my daughter had a couple of comments about the video when it was released. One, she said, "Hey, your new keyboardist for Viking Guitar is pretty good." And the other was that I looked like a quote sweaty disaster. So
sweaty disaster.
That is what she said. So
that's how I look every summer.
She's quick, because like there was some exchange between you and her, and I think someone else in the Viking Guitar, you know, audience group, and she had some like quick reply for something. You know, it was something about how she never said anything nice about you, and she had her just like in the barrel, ready to go. And it's just like, my first thought is like, that is exactly something Dan would say. You know, both of your kids got that quick, you know, scathing but very understated wit.
I think she said something along the lines of, "Hey, give me a break. I called you cool that one time."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what you have to have in your bag of tricks. If all you're doing is being defensive, I'm just poking.
Speaking of kids, apparently I've got to go pick my son up at work. So I guess I'll have to go.
That's
Dan,
all good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Or this could be an important life lesson for him tonight.
Yeah. If it weren't raining, he could walk home, but it's raining. So
well, it's wait, where are you located?
He still has legs. He can still walk home.
He does. He does have legs. But the short version of anything I wanted to say was thank you for including me. And I'm serious. That's actually me being serious and sincere. Thanks for including me and allowing me to play on this track because it is really good and I appreciate it. And
you're the bassist in the band, dude. Like.
I'm really talking to Alex more than I am you. I know you're contractually obligated to have me there, but
it was great to have you be a part of it. And the fact that you wore an Unreal shirt, man, your stock went up. So yeah,
I'm a fan from way back. So yeah, I figured I should represent since I hadn't actually played Tyrian. I figured I should do what I could do. You can
still play Tyrian.
It's free on good old game.
I can and I will, and I got work and stuff to do. And thank you guys for everything, and I'll see y'all later.
All right. Do you have any final words?
Good to see you.
Bye. That's my final word.
Very good.
Cheers.
Well, it was word, but it's great having Dan on these things in particular because, like, I don't know. I feel like he has all of the enthusiasm about this stuff that like you would get from any 14-year-old that's just like way getting into this. But he's so fucking good at what he does and just like such an even keel with it all. It's very nice having Dan around.
So are we going to see you guys collaborate again in the future?
I mean, so.
You already have. Alex and I have another song out since Tyrian.
That's true.
Yeah.
Your new album, Omegaforce. Tell us about it.
Well, that had been a long time in the works. It was 3 years, essentially, with just taking a lot of time in between. But I had always wanted to do what I could to put out a guitar album, and I did. There was a period of time where I did practice kind of regularly in the mornings, and that might have been like 6 months, and then that kind of fell off, and then sometimes I'll pick it up again, and sometimes the urge to just pick up and play, which is something that good old Dave Grohl kind of instilled in me. He's just like, don't worry about the pentatonic this and the Lydian that. Just play the goddamn guitar, pick it up and make it sound like trash. It doesn't be happy with, and if you're not happy with what you have, just kind of work at it until you get something good. And he said, like, there's not enough kids in garages doing this. And I'm just like, yeah, man, that fired me up. And then other people start telling me about him running his own soup kitchen without any fanfare of any kind. Like, he didn't call the press. He just up and made a soup kitchen and started feeding the homeless. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's Keanu Reeves-ding. So supposedly he's this great human being. But that particular thing got me inspired on the guitar level. And I've loved guitar for as long as I could remember, but one of the things that really got me into it was video games. Well before I was into Steve Vai, Joe Satriani,
Feral Petrucci.
In fact, Feral Petrucci. And in fact, so the first time I heard these games was I think Afterburner, which was first a stand-up unit, and then they had the hydraulic thing that moved and that you sat down in, and I thought that was awesome. And there was these guitar samples. Then Vapor Trail came out, and these games would stand out because so many other games would have FM sound chips in them and sound pretty good. Especially, Legend of Cage was one of the first like FM over the really standard basic waveform type chipsets, and that was awesome. But then if you had guitar samples in games, they popped audio wise. Like like I perked up, I'd pull out a portable tape recorder. Yes, I used to do this and actually record these soundtracks.
I did that off my television with the first Legend of Zelda, man. Yeah.
Yes. Virtual high five, man. That's the stuff. That's what makes us, right? Everybody that's a VGM nut. So parenthetically to that, this is sort of in parallel. I took a train trip down to my grandparents and I was maybe 12, 13. And this punk girl, and I say punk girl just because I think she had like, a lot of shaved aspects to her hair and like spiked leather on, and so like, but she had these pink foam headphones on, and I don't think I said anything to her because, of course, I'm scared to death as a 12-year-old, and super intimidated. And so, but she turns around, and I think she said, like, "Do you want to listen to this? It's Metallica," or like, or maybe I was ballsy enough to say, like, "Hey, what you listening to?" And then she said, "Hey, it's Metallica," and I was like, "Oh," and so it got to the point where it's like I had never heard Metallica before, and it was "To Live Is to Die." So she,
oh wow,
gets to the start of the song, gives me the headphones, and I start listening to it, and it's
like a 7-minute instrumental, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, with the exception of "When a Man Lies,"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, so here was my thing, right? The metal section of it did not blow my hair back that much. It was the medieval, riff that leads in at the beginning. I was like, this is Metallica? Oh my God, it sounds like a Renfest. It's gorgeous. It's Baroque. It sounds cool. And that means these guys are more sophisticated and they don't murder bats like Ozzy Osbourne and all these stories that I'd heard.
Probably wear bells on their shoes.
So I was scared of metal, partly because my parents were like, only listen to classic Baroque, Romantic, and more modern symphonic stuff, mainly classic Baroque and Romantic. And so, like, I heard that opened my world up, and so I started listening to Iron Maiden. I listened to Kix, which they got some good songs out there, even though good old Fred Couric from Cinderella says Kix is a bunch of fruits or they're assholes or whatever they're called. Because when they were changing on stage, because Kix introduced Cinderella at one point, they were rude. And I was like, I don't want to hear that. I like Kix anyway.
I was on Twitter defending Creed yesterday, man. I saw
that.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
How do you defend Creed?
Why?
Because they're solid musicians and they write good radio rock, and removing my own personal strong distaste for Scott Stapp as a person and for his lyrical content. They're not any worse than any of the other like good radio rock bands from the late 90s, and they're better than a lot of them.
So you like
Tremonti can fucking play guitar, dude.
Okay, so we're taking Scott Stapp out of the equation, correct?
No, I'm just
Oof.
I'm
all right. So
he's a good singer with a style that doesn't work for me and lyrics that really don't work for me.
Okay. So I'm a Miami Marlins fan, the baseball team. Yeah. I want you to go look up Marlins Will Soar, and then you're going to apologize to me and tell me that I was correct about how bad Scott Stapp is at literally everything.
That's fine, man. I'll tell you this though. I'm taking the stupid high road here. You can dislike Creed if you want. I'm not saying you need to listen to him, but I think that we can probably find bad performances from a lot of real musicians.
Is Creed the band that sings the song "With Arms Wide Open"?
Oh yeah.
That's them.
That's them. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, like the rest of the band, I'd be like, all right, yeah, fine, that's
yeah.
fine.
The rest of the band is great. I love Alter
Stapp,
Bridge.
No, Scott Stapp, no, unforgivable. I will not forgive Marlins Will Soar.
Well, this does go bad. Not to deliberately sidetrack this because it is great, harshing and then trying to redeem Creed. but it goes back to like the impetus behind the guitar album being that there's like the guitar instrumental music has certainly progressed over the years, and there's some new guitarists out there like Pliny I think it is, and Polyphia,
Tim Henson.
bands, Tim Henson, like these and geez, not to mention Tosin Abasi and Animals as Leaders, and stuff that I listen to and I go, okay, I'm a kid again. I'm rediscovering guitar instrumental music. It sounds amazing. At the same time, there was something about these tracks that I was like, there's just something that I'm not quite getting. I'm getting the intellectual stimulation. I'm getting the wow, they can play blindingly well, not just fast, right? It's not just noodling. There's some serious thought put into the writing. it was the more simplistic feel good aspects. Now, when you go back to Passion and Warfare, you have a certain amount of noodle stuff, not a ton. There's a lot more and a lot of other guitarist stuff. Vi doesn't tend to noodle that much. He tends to noodle in ways that make it not sound quite as much like noodling and just pure shredding. But the there's a couple of songs on Passion and Warfare. One of them is I Would Love To, and another one. Anyway, so I Would Love To, and then you've got Summer Song by Joe Satriani. They're just kind of simple, feel good 80s just guitar, right? You don't have somebody trying to croon over them. And they stand in a style all their own. Now, having said that, yes, Dream Theater influence and Ferrell Petrucci worked its way into a lot. I would do stuff in 6/4. I would have riffs that are just like, that kind of stuff going on. And that was inevitable. I'm inevitable. But, but yeah, like all of that kind of came together with the original influence of video game scores like Afterburner. And in fact, the title track is a semi-remix of 2 themes from the original Afterburner score. And I went back and listened to this. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm totally ripping it off. And in a way I am.
Inspired by.
But well, so listening to the original, like for the opening riff on my track versus when you first put the quarter into Afterburner, there's far more electric piano in their version and far more chugga chugga. Thanks to Grant Henry, he's the player on that one. Erik plays beautifully on the first track of the album, Burning Edge, and you worked on another one, didn't you?
No, just that one. Well, I did the
just that one.
Yeah,
we did the. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm trying to juggle people.
There's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So Pete did a bunch of stuff. But anyway, yeah. So that's where I was just like, yeah, I really didn't just rip a track. It was taking that, putting some additional stuff on top, like how Jehovah Jireh or something like that. There is a metal group that redid E1M1, the Doom theme, the Bobby Prince one, and that was with live guitar, and I was just like, that totally kicks ass, and it has a different sound in and of itself. So yeah, things came full circle with that album, and I loved how it turned out. It came out better than I thought it would, to be honest with, even with my pathetic noodlings. I actually didn't do too bad.
No.
It was.
You play most of the guitar on the song that I'm on, and you play all of the lead lines except for the solo. Most of my stuff is backing textural stuff. And like when I saw the release of the album, I was looking at it on Bandcamp and I was listening to the song, and I'm like, everyone's going to think that like this is all my stuff, but Alex is playing most of this and he's doing it really well.
It's kind of like how when I went to George Sanger and said, I love what you did for Wing Commander. It does say Team Fat as far as I know, right? So
he's
like
such a personal guy, but yeah.
But like his first thing was like, oh, you like Wing Commander? Like, well, then you need to go talk to Dave Govett. And so like I'm sure somebody might well say like, oh my gosh, Burning Edge is my favorite, and I know that you just totally rock that, and you'll be like, well, I did this and this, and then you should go say hi to Alex for that, right? So like that's how I
don't count on it. I signed for Danimal on a Metroid Metal CD at a merch table once because he wasn't around.
Nice.
The rest of Metroid Metal was there. Dan had left to go do something, and he's like, oh, this guy came up. I loved you guys, and like looked me in the eye and everyone else. He's like, well, you all sign it? I'm like, yeah, fuck it. That's Animal Cannon.
Yes. Well, hey, he got his CD signed. Yes. Yeah, you did the man a solid.
It was cool doing that Burning Edge stuff, not just because it's another chance to collaborate on something, but it's interesting learning your guitar parts. And I had the chance to learn that right after I relearned how to play Tyrian, because I didn't, when we picked it up again after a couple years, it's not like I was just locked and loaded and ready to roll. But your melodies tend to do a lot more from a root down a fourth or a root I'm sorry, down to the fifth, down a fourth to the fifth, or up a fourth, there are very frequently situations where I'm trying to do like fast note picking across different strings on the same fret and like muting the other ones at the same time. Yeah. And it was funny because like I relearned Tyrian and I'm like, man, there's just a lot of stuff that's kind of structured like this. And then you sent me the Burning Edge stuff and I looked at the MIDI, I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay.
That is fascinating. That is really fascinating that you made that connection.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's no different from learning video game stuff because that was never meant to be played on a guitar,
yes.
you know?
And so if you go and listen to Just Fun, there's a track on that called Hyper Control. Mm-hmm. And my goal for that track,
he played on that one.
No, that was Craig Rundles, my friend Craig Rundles. And so if he's not credited, I'll go and I'll do the Bandcamp thing. I think he is. So
he is,
yeah. So and the track was written by Andrew Sega. That's not even my track. I took Andy Sega's mod and I put it into Nuendo, and you know it's not even that much of an arrangement. It's pretty much the straight track. And I did talk to Andy about it. I said, "Are you okay with this?" He's like, "Yeah, it's cool." Because I was like, I really want to be able to like have this be the riff on that, which just repeats. I was like, this could be a really catchy guitar anthem. Like it could be one that guitarists pick up. And I quickly learned that because Andy wrote it in a tracker or with a keyboard or with whatever, that it like Craig. Now, Erik, I'd be interested to hear your take. If you go and you check it out and you might want to noodle around with it, that's fine. But like when Craig was trying to, he's like, okay, I have to do this and then this, or I can't just move across the strings, the stuff you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So we did bits and pieces, section at a time.
Yeah. Well, with Burning Edge, I told you the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to have to comp some of this together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's just how it goes. It's funny because like I do not a ton of session work, but usually when I do, it's in the game music and adjacent to game music sphere. And there's a lot of composers in that world that either primarily compose with a keyboard or do it all on a MIDI line, And I have learned through horrible experience and embarrassment that when they send me an MP3 of the rough of the song with the guitar line in there from, shreddage or whatever, and they're like, oh, can you play this? No matter how simple it sounds, the answer is maybe. Can I see the MIDI?
Yes.
Because you can have something like, I can do super shreddy stuff within parameters utilizing all of the tricks that are available to a guitarist. Like you can do tapping stuff that sounds way faster than it is, but like even a riff at half that speed or less, if it's structured in such a way that it's like, finger spaghetti, you're just not going to do it,
No.
But it does help you grow as a musician, if not to get better, then to at least find ways to to work around these things,
Yeah.
But
hell yeah.
Yeah. But it was just funny, to see stuff you had written back in, what was that, 94?
Around then. That would have been the year after high school.
And then stuff from 2021 and be like, okay, these same intervallic things. All right, I've trained for this.
There's fans that will say,
I wasn't implying there was
this
a lack
sounds
of
like
a thing.
No. Yeah. There's fans that'll say like, oh man, I could tell this was an Alex Brandon track. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't ask about like, tell me exactly the intervals that led to this conclusion so that I may break your
statement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any sources on that claim?
I have a funny thing to tell you, Alex, and I don't think I've told you this before, but like when I was playing Tyrian originally, I wasn't, so into games that I was really paying attention to the credits. I knew I liked the music from the game, but if you had asked me who had composed it, I wouldn't have been able to drop your name. And that extended through my late teens, early 20s when I played Unreal Tournament. Still wasn't really watching credits or anything. And in my mind, I knew I liked the music from those two games, never thought to connect them, didn't know it was the same person. And in the days of MySpace, when I was setting up the first Viking Guitar music page, for the first, fledgling versions of what turned into some of my stuff. If you were setting up a band musician page on MySpace, for those of you that remember this, they have a place where you can put like your inspirations or something for the music. Mm-hmm. And after the obvious stuff of Slayer and whatever, what I put in there of the like 6 things listed was, and whoever wrote the music for Unreal Tournament.
Oh my God.
And I had no idea that it was someone whose music I'd already appreciated in a, similar context, a certain amount of years earlier. So you survived the double blind test.
Yeah, man. Well, okay. So here's something totally out of the blue here. I'm going to tell a story about a band and how I rediscovered this band. But I'm going to tell a story like David Lee Roth. Okay. Because after everything he says, he'll say like, you dig, and then he'll go. Man. Okay, so here I am at the party for Game Audio Network Guild. Okay, so like we're in San Francisco, we're all partying, we're hanging out, and it's a lot of fun. I come out of the Pyramide School, and it's a fun party, but I'm coming out and there's Dren McDonald. Okay, and so Dren McDonald is standing with this guy. He's kind of short. He's got some blonde dreads and a goatee with some whatever those things are that come out that you can braid, from your beard. And so, he's talking with this guy and he almost looks like a Viking, right? It's just like this really, and at first I'm kind of intimidated. I'm like, oh, it's, if I say the wrong thing, this guy's going to fuck me up, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm talking with Dren, and Dren says, hey, I want you to meet this guy, Nils. This is my buddy, Nils. And so Nils was like, hey, man, nice to meet you, game music guy. I mean, this guy didn't know game audio for shit. He was a musician in San Francisco, a real one. So he hands me the CD. I know that's terrible to say, right? In this company of video game music.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he was gigging every night with I'll mention the name of the band later. So he hands me a CD, right? So I take the CD. This is GDC. I get business cards. Okay. And I get like CDs and I get resumes and I put them in a backpack and they usually just sit there. I'm sorry for the people
Toss this
that
on the pile.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't want to work with people. It's just,
going through all that stuff is a full-time gig in itself. Yeah.
Seconds, hours, and years in a day, man. And when you're project focused and you're sitting there focusing. So I put this on my Yamaha Clavinova. You dig? And so it's sitting there for I don't know how long. No, I'm not saying there's Joe Rogan fans here, but go watch David Lee Roth on there and it's a hoot. All right. So it's sitting on there and it's there for years, right? Well, 2-3 years. And then my son Connor comes in and he says, hey, Dad, I'm trying to build something. I need a couple of wood screws. And do I say, hey, son, you're working with power tools and you're 6 or 7 years old? I should go see what you're doing. No, as a great dad, I just look for the wood screw and I hand it to him.
You're over there.
I'm like, you go, just don't cut anything off or impale yourself, right? So I give him the wood screws, and as I pick them up, I see this CD sitting there and it says Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. And all of a sudden, my brain starts recycling this deep dive I did like 2 days before, where I'm really like jamming out on Peter Gabriel and looking at his security YouTube video, and it's pretty awesome. And I'm just like, and then I'm listening to Tony Levin. I'm like, oh man, Tony Levin, there's a great bass player for you. And then I look at an interview with him after that at NAMM show where he says, they say, what's your favorite band, Tony? What are you listening to these days? He says, Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. So I'm sitting here with the CD in front of me. I'm like, the fucking lead singer just handed me this thing that Tony Levin was his favorite band. Oh. So I'm writing Dren McDonald. I'm like, I was in the presence of a god. You got to put me back in touch. And it wasn't just that. I went to their YouTube channel. They have this killer video. The music they did had the growly. ever since Cannibal Corpses, I'd never been a fan of that shit. I get the appeal. People love that. Never really resonated with me, but like I got through that gravel voice because it was Finnegan's Wake with all these crazy, just sort of stops and rhythmic changes, all progressive like with a black and white video. Go check out Hapless Corpse Enactment by Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum. The video is absolutely tripping, and it's well made. Anyway, I'm getting back to my own voice now. So I go and that was fun. And I go back and I have this CD and I message Dren or I email him, and he puts me back in touch with Nils, and I get to say, Nils, thank you so much for giving me this CD. It took me on this journey, and I had such an experience. It was because of my son, and and he was totally cool and down to earth.
By the way, I met you on the streets of San Francisco 3 years ago.
Yeah, and he responded, and he was like, I don't think he specifically said he remembered me. No, I think he did, because I mentioned the Dren meeting at that specific place. So I think he was able to recall it and say like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
awesome.
The way we, our musical journeys are as unique as we are, and I think everybody's got a story there, right? So,
well, the ones that stick with it, like I don't know, it would have been real easy for me to just enjoy those two things independently, and then play guitar in a local band and just never really decide to pursue much of it. But through weird circumstance, it ended up being where it is, and I think that getting to work with you is a wonderful experience in itself, and for what it kind of represents. It's like, we're creators, and there's a certain amount of imposter syndrome that inherently goes along with that, Yes, and this, and I know this is probably a super weird thing to hear, so I apologize. But something like this is tangible proof when I'm having one of those imposter syndrome moments of like, this thing probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't at least have it together a little bit, you know how that goes. So it's been a great experience in a lot of ways, it's another chance to, expose the guys in my band to stuff that they probably haven't heard, because, I don't think any of them really did the PC gaming route in those days, in the 90s. It's a chance to work with you. It's a chance to get this music out to other people, because I'm sure most of the people that know you, it's for some of the more recent things you've done, Deus Ex and Unreal Tournament and Wasteland and stuff like that. And even just from a production standpoint, I got to mix something that had a lot of lead keyboard stuff in it, and that's not something I usually do. I mean, I do for other bands. I've done it for Kirby's Dream Band and stuff, but like not with the it's usually a different sonic profile that goes with it. It's hard rock or progressive rock, but it doesn't have quite that same toothiness that the thrash and death metal stuff has, but we got to get like a blast beat section in there and stuff. And it was just friggin' a hoot.
Yeah, it was really awesome, man.
It was fun.
Everybody did really well. This may not be protocol for this particular podcast, but since I got in maybe a little late, I don't know if we went around the room and got everybody's name.
Well, I'm Joe.
You're not.
That I remember.
Didn't we do this at the beginning?
We might have, and I totally forgot.
It's Jacob and Aki. And
we're forgettable.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. No. And so which is Jacob and which is Aki?
I'm the sexy one.
The fuck around and find out is it's Jacob.
Yes, and Aki is the other one. He is quiet. Surprisingly quiet.
They've both been quiet.
I've mostly kept my mic muted because I didn't really have anything to add since we're talking about music.
Oh, that's cool. And you said didn't have anything to add. If you've seen the Saturday Night Live with Justin Timberlake and Jimmy Fallon pretending to be the guys from Bee Gees, pretending to be Bee Gees, and then I don't remember which brother Jimmy Fallon is, but he turns to Justin Timberlake, who's Robin Gibb, and he goes, "Robin, do you have anything to add?" and then Robin, like Justin has to hang his head because he's trying not to laugh, so he's going like, "No, it don't." Nothing at all. Anyway, yeah, that's a funny one.
Justin Timberlake is so much funnier than you thought he would be in NSYNC, and he just like exploded. And I love that guy. He's great.
It's
He's
been
hilarious.
a maturing part of my life to come to terms with the fact that he's totally awesome, because literally when I got into Joe Satriani for the first time, I heard him on the radio. We drove down to Santa Cruz. I bought the CD at a Circuit City. That same day, my sister, who is, the one playing Tyrian with me, who's 3 years younger than me, was at just the right age where the CD she bought was that first NSYNC CD.
Oh, wow.
And, I was 14. I didn't handle that well.
How could you?
It's been interesting growing up and being like, wow, that guy's actually really pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it may be the other members of the band that overshadowed that. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure there were corporate decisions about who to put forward and focus on and stuff, but
What is up with the friggin' ramen thing?
His
and
hair.
Justin Timberlake's hair?
Yeah, just curly noodle hair.
Yeah, there's like a month and somebody says, hey, it's March 1st. Here's some ramen and Justin Timberlake. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know the March aspect, but there was a while.
It usually happens at the end of April, and they're gonna be like, "It's gonna be May."
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
May.
The song. Yeah.
Instead of me, the month May, it's gonna be May.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was enough of a stretch for me that I'm just sort of like, there's a friend of mine that does John Henderson, also known as Jay the Yellow on Discord, and he's worked very hard to try to get people jobs, game industry jobs in Austin, but to help people retain jobs in Austin. And it's a thankless job. And he runs community events, and once in a while he'll be like, it would be nice if, and I'm just like, I totally hear you. I totally hear you. But here's the thing is, like, I will get a link maybe once a week, maybe once a month. Will make no sense to me whatsoever. Every single time is like, I got no clue which. He's like, oh well, this is the guy in the hospital visiting the girl that's dying, and it's related to this anime.
Oh, the Lost thing.
Was something that is a very crude example. I don't think I've actually gotten that one, but it is along those lines, right? Where if you were to see that for the first time and somebody goes, you get it? You'd be like, no, I don't. And yeah, so like he sends me those things, and every time I'm just like, I am not savvy. I am just not. I don't get the message.
You're actually working and living your life instead of, just consuming internet media.
I guess so.
I just consume internet media.
Yeah,
so do I.
Chris Ryberg and Stephanie can do that too, and I'm sure they have lives. I mean, Steph is sitting there saying we've got our debt paid off, and I'm like, oh my god, the kids are all right.
I'm not saying people don't have lives. I do it too. I'm just saying that, like, when all of your downtime ends up being idle time online, you just end up like, it's like hanging out in a certain, subculture, and you start adopting lingo and stuff like that, except it's all pictographic and, hieroglyphic sort of.
Jacob talks and memes.
Yeah.
Right.
And not good ones.
Yes.
How would you know? You don't even have a Facebook account.
That's probably the best.
I can still view Facebook.
Then you really have a life if you don't have a Facebook account.
No, Aki does not actually.
She doesn't have a
life.
Twitter either, but that wasn't her choice.
There are a lot fewer people with Twitters today than there were just a few months ago,
Oh, I know.
Yeah. I hate to be that guy, but it's a little late for me, and I have an early morning tomorrow, so I might have to bounce.
This is a good time to wrap things up. It's been a good hour or so.
I wouldn't go that far.
It's been a halfway decent hour or so.
Yes.
It was passable at best. Passable at best.
I could go back to being David Lee Roth, man. You dig?
Yeah, you're right. It is time to cut this. So,
guys, it was a pleasure having you on. Give big thanks to Dan again for coming on and chatting as well.
No, yeah.
Alex, we gotta find a way to get you to do the SML theme song. We've had theme songs done by most of the people you worked with on your album. We have had 9 theme songs in 10 years, and we're looking for a 10th one.
Okay.
Could you send me the one I did, because it was so long ago that I can't recall it.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will send it to you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, man.
Our current theme is actually a reworked version of Eric's, Ryan's, and Grant's that Grant did while he was bored, and I liked it, so I'm using it.
Man, that's nice. Is it anything like Gear Whore by Devin Townsend?
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, look up.
You have to look for it.
I have so much I've got to
Gear
look up.
Whore on YouTube, and you'll see what I mean.
I have to look up Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum.
Yep.
I have to look up Feral Petrucci so I could find a good picture for the episode.
This is like random word association.
It's like Mad Libs.
And I got to look up Marlins Will Soar to find out what song I'm going to pay you guys to cover next.
SML stands for Super Mad Libs, right?
Nah, someone might listen.
I thought it was Super Mario. I don't know.
There's like a Super Mario Logan out there that people are like, "Are you Super Mario Logan?" I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. And I've been getting it for years, and people are like, "Is this SML? Is this like Logan? Are you Logan?" I don't know. I don't know who Logan is. Leave me alone.
It's the movie. You know, she's a lot like you, Logan.
Oh God,
Super Mario Logan.
Very good, man.
Oh man, well, we will let you two get going. Do you have any final words to give, or before that, where can people keep track of you and what you're doing, and where can people keep up with your music and all that jazz?
Well, the Tyrian song, if you go to vikingguitar.bandcamp.com, or if you search for Tyrian Viking and then do the minus sign and then in quotes put Game of Thrones, then you can probably find it on YouTube. But it's around. And then Alex's Omegaforce album, is it Alexander Brandon or Alex Brandon at Bandcamp?
AlexanderBrandon.bandcamp.com.
And that's good. It's got stuff from me and Grant and Beardo and a number of other people. It's
Tony's on there, I saw.
And there's other albums that have Erik on them.
I play slide guitar on one.
Guitar, I think, on the Violet Eclectic album.
Ooh.
I believe. Or it was just fun. It was just fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just fun. Yeah.
Gonna have to find that song for a future episode.
Was that 2014 or 15?
14. I don't remember though.
It's almost 10 years ago, man.
It feels like forever. It really does.
It does.
So
anyway, this has been lovely. And to answer your earlier question, I would love to do more music with Alex. I suspect we probably will, but there aren't any concrete plans at this point. So
Marlins will soar.
We'll let you know.
You're going to cover Marlins Will Soar just to piss off Jacob.
Obviously. We'll pay for a cameo of Scott Stapp singing it so I can get a fresh vocal take for you.
No. Don't do that. You could use your money for so many other better things.
I'm just trying to think how crazy it would be if you really did work with Scott Stapp.
What was the first part of that?
I said it'd just be mind blowing if you really did work with Scott Stapp on a song.
Joking aside, I have no desire to work with Scott Stapp. If they hit me up tomorrow to do the engineering on their new album, I absolutely would do it, but I'm not planning on collaborating musically. It's not currently in the works.
You are not going to be waiting for them with arms wide open.
Nor legs.
God.
So anyway, it's good seeing you all, and let's do this again soon, Joe.
All right, have a great night, you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Good night.
This was great. Cheers.
Take care. All right, we got a lot more show to take care of. A lot of news.
Fingers crossed, because my phone battery is dying.
Well, how much time do you have on it?
I don't know. It doesn't say you have.
Plugged in?
How's it going to be plugged in?
With a cord?
Yeah.
I'm on an iPhone. And
okay.
I plug in my headset into my iPhone.
Oh, I didn't know you had a headset on.
Yeah, I always have a
Can you
headset
still
on.
not plug it in and charge it?
No, iPhone uses one port for everything. It's dumb.
Oh, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah. Anyway, also stupid is the fact that Xbox Live Gold is going away. I'm not too sold on this yet.
It's kind of going away. It's not really going away.
It's going away.
It's going to transition to Game Pass Core on September 14th. Game Pass Core is going to include online multiplayer and various benefits like Gold currently does. It will be the same price as Gold currently is at $9.99 a month or $60 for a year. Existing Gold subscribers will convert to Core, and Core will now offer 25 or so Game Pass titles that will supposedly be updated 2 or 3 times a year with new titles that will be rotating in and out. So
Games with Gold is going away, though.
Yeah, Games with Gold is dying. So
yeah, that's the part that I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
I mean, instead of that, you get access to 25 games.
Whoa, I'm already paying for access to those games. I don't give a shit.
Not if you're on Gold.
Dude, I get Xbox. Like,
I'm saying not if you're on Gold. If you're on Gold only, instead of getting 2 games a month, you're getting a selection of 25. For people on Ultimate, it sucks. Yes.
Yeah.
And the real shame is that because they're changing it to this other thing, I'm sure all the rules that they had to follow, the agreement, the contract, whatever, for the old Games with Gold, for Xbox Live Gold, I mean, they said they couldn't increase the price. Was part of their agreement with the people who bought it, basically. So I'm sure now the price is going to go up eventually. It's not going to stick at $60 a year anymore, I'm sure.
I don't know. It's for now. It's going to stay. Core is going to be $9.99 a month. Console Game Pass is still going to be $10.99 a month. That will not include online play. Ultimate will include online play, as well as the normal Game Pass that you expect now for $16.99 a month. But the big change here is that Games with Gold is going away, and instead, Gold members will have, or quote, Gold members, Core members will have access to a catalog of games instead, which they're better games than you get with Games with Gold. So,
yeah, but do you get to own these ones? I don't think you own these ones.
No, but to be fair, you don't really own the Games with Gold on Gold, because if you stop subscribing, you lose them.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, except for Xbox 360 games. Those are yours to keep.
Ah.
Yeah. And if you have any Games with Gold now, you must be a Core member at minimum to keep them.
Bleh.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's I don't know. They're saying it's for choice, so you could choose the plan that's right for you. There's still no reason to pick anything besides Ultimate, really, because Ultimate includes everything.
Yeah, unless you don't really play on the PC.
Even still, if you want console Game Pass, that doesn't include online multiplayer, so you would need Core Game Pass, which only includes 25 games instead of all of them. So you would just go with Ultimate, because that's got both of them for cheaper.
Ah, that's dumb too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but Game Pass Editions, a lot of games joining. This week was pretty huge for Game Pass Editions. We got Tectonica, Toem, The Cave, Figment 2, Creed Valley, The Wandering Village on Game Preview, and Maquette.
I'm not going to comment on that one.
All this week.
Very nice. That's a lot of games, and there's a number of good ones in that list.
Yeah. July 25th, we're getting Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem.
Cool.
Yeah. July 31st, we are getting Venba, which is, I believe, some kind of cooking adventure kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't really know too much. It looks unique. And then August 1st, we're getting Celeste.
Cool. I think we're getting Celeste again. I think.
Yeah, it's returning. Yep.
Yeah.
Not all good news, though. Some games got to leave Game Pass, and we are losing 5 at the end of July. 2 Point Campus is leaving. The Ascent is leaving. Marvel's Avengers is leaving. Dreamscaper and Expeditions Rome for the PC.
Okay, we're losing a couple decent games and
I want to try Dreamscaper.
Yeah, pretty sure that's the roguelike that you fight enemies while you're dreaming, yes?
Maybe. I don't know. Too many games, I can't remember them all. The Ascent is pretty good. I already own that one, so I'm good there. And then 2 Point Campus I was considering, but apparently it's on sale pretty cheap on Amazon right now, so I might just grab it there.
Go for it. I've heard a lot of good things about that game, so...
Yeah, so that is the Game Pass news. Any thoughts?
Not really.
We're losing some okay things. We're gaining some okay things. It's about even. Yeah. Fine.
Activision, Microsoft merger news. The merger deadline has been moved to October. Both parties are fairly confident that the merger is going to take place. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the FTC has withdrawn its case against the merger. So it looks like it is all clear in the U.S.
Nice. Yeah. Now it only has one place to worry about.
CMA.
Yep.
Which I think Xbox is just going to close the deal.
That'll be it.
I mean, they already have they said that they were working with the CMA already to address their concerns. I think it's going to happen any day now. Hopefully sooner than later, because I'm getting tired of it being in the news. I just want it to end already.
I wanted that over a month ago. So I'm right there with you.
Some more Xbox news. Sony has finally agreed to the 10-year deal with Microsoft to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, which is apparently a different deal than what Xbox originally offered to Sony, which was to keep all Activision properties on Sony.
Oh, so Sony shot themselves in the foot.
So Jim Ryan fucked that up for Sony.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was talk that they might even pull some games from Sony, which I don't think they'll pull anything actively out. That would be a shit move if they did that. That would be inexcusable. There's no reason to pull games already out. But there was talk that they would stop supporting Overwatch 2 on PlayStation. Diablo might not get supported on PlayStation. It looks like Sony made a mess for themselves, but they're getting Call of Duty at least. So I don't know. We'll see how Microsoft is in the future. I think they're going to keep games as a service titles active on PlayStation.
Oh, I'm sure that makes them a ton of money.
Yeah. Speaking of games as a service, Gundam Evolution is shutting down on November 29th, one day short of its 1-year anniversary.
And this is what happens, folks, when you make an MP-only live service game. It gets foisted upon the Picard
1 year.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just joining the line of them that have died within the year.
That is so harsh that it didn't even last a full year. One day short of a full year.
It's kind of a shame because it looks really nice. I have absolutely no interest in the game, but it looks good.
Yeah. I heard it played really well too. It's just...
Yeah, it was Overwatch, but instead of all the ladies with the nice butts, it was just Gundams.
Yeah, apparently from what I hear...
Do the Gundams have nice butts?
No, Gundams do not, sadly.
No.
Bullshit.
Wait, what do you mean? Hold on. Let's go back to that comment there. What do you mean, sadly?
I mean, I would prefer if all Gundams had great asses. I build models. Do you think I wouldn't want to build a nicely sculpted ass? Come on.
Why don't you just build models of other things?
Because I like Gundam.
Well, I understand that, but why aren't you hitting up
to appreciate their boxy asses, Aki?
Yeah, they're flat robotic boxy asses.
Maybe one day I'll venture out and I'll build a Cosmos and Telos model. I don't know.
Oh God.
Can that be the name of the this episode? Flat boxy robotic asses?
No.
Please?
No.
Please?
No.
How about butts?
Speaking of Overwatch, it is going to be
fannies?
Overwatch 2 is going to be hitting Steam on August 10th.
Yippee.
So they're branching out onto other platforms for that. Apparently they're bleeding players, so they're doing whatever they can to save it.
Big shocker. Yeah. Everyone bought it specifically for that single player mode. That they're like, oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore, but thanks for all the money you've given us.
Yeah.
And then being like, but maybe we'll give you some hints of it in DLC that you're going to have to pay for. Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, they made some really bad decisions with that. Apparently they're also making some really bad decisions with Diablo. The season 1 patch notes came out, and they're apparently like nerfing everything.
Well, yeah, they need
all
to
the
make
characters are getting nerfed. The sorcerer, who is basically useless to begin with, is getting the most nerfs. It's just they're killing XP. They're cutting down on rewards. It's like they're trying to make it a grindier game, and that's not what I want out of Diablo.
That is specifically what they're doing, because in the future they're going to sell you for like $15, $20 a pack that's like, oh, now you can get double XP. So that's what they always do.
Well, hopefully not, but
that's sure one of the reasons. That's why one of my favorite series of games, the Assassin's Creed games, that's why their leveling got so abysmally slow in the newer titles, was because they started selling that shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, last bit of news I have is some sad news. Larry Herb, better known as Major Nelson, is leaving Xbox after 20 years.
I salute the old man.
Yep.
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
It feels like the end of an era. It's like he's leaving. Xbox Live is going away and changing over to Game Pass. There's these mergers going on. I think Xbox is going through some heavy changes, and I don't know. We'll see how it works.
I hope it comes out for the better, but when lots of shit suddenly goes down, it has a tendency to go for the worse, and that I really don't want it to go for the worse.
Yeah, but that's the news I have. What do you two got?
The Gundam Evolution thing was going to be my thing, so
you chose one thing to talk about.
Yeah, I'm lazy.
I don't know. If you're really lazy, I don't think you would have talked about anything.
I didn't. Joe did.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but your original plan was to talk about something.
Sometimes I like to be somewhat useful. I still like to be lazy.
Jake, what do you got?
So, Activision Blizzard is laying off around 50 of their esports staff. Supposedly, it's because the Overwatch League is going to be getting a huge overhaul.
I think it's more, they can claim that all they want, but every esports team is losing money hand over fucking fist because esports is shit.
Well, yeah, it's not, everybody threw money into it thinking that they could finally get America to care about it, and no.
That is not a fact.
Yeah. So the new Pokemon Sleep game is out. Where you play as a Snorlax, and you set the game as you sleep, and it tracks how long you sleep, and it causes your Snorlax to gain experience and grow stronger, and it also attracts other Pokemon for you to catch. It's also used as kind of like a sleep aid to help with recording you in your sleep in case you needed to. Okay. I guess it would be good for catching sleep apnea and stuff like that, maybe, in case your partner tells you oh, you snore. No, I don't. I don't know. I'm not sure what the function is for, but on Kotaku they're reporting that some users have discovered that if you fart loud enough in your sleep, it will catch that. So hopefully, lay off the beans before bed.
I would say just don't get it, just in general.
Well, there is a setting in there that disables it from recording anything when you sleep. If you want to, it's entirely voluntary.
Okay, you not have a fart sound effect. Oh, here's one.
I mean, you have more than one fart sound effect.
I mean, yeah, Joe could just like lean to the left or right.
The reverb on it is amazing.
Yes. Do we have any movie news?
Well, an interesting video game leak came out the other night, which has yet to be confirmed.
Okay.
So the Australian animated show Bluey is apparently getting a video game. The Australian
allegedly getting a video game.
Yeah, it's allegedly getting a video game. The Australian rating board posted online, and some Twitter bot scraped the data for it. Apparently, it's going. If this is a Bluey game, it is supposedly going to be some sort of like a treasure hunt. Which I mean, I don't know what exactly that means. Does that mean like you have to like kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of thing?
Maybe.
Well, it could be that. It could be,
could be like a hidden object puzzler. You never know.
Well, yeah, that's like hidden objects. I'm wondering if it's going to be that. And of course, the best part is that Outright Games is listed as the publisher. Which
allegedly.
Disclaimer. Yeah, of the publisher of this alleged game.
The alleged publisher of the alleged game is allegedly Outright Games.
Yes. And just as a disclaimer, Joe and I are brand ambassadors for Outright Games. However,
and they ain't telling us nothing.
No, they've said radio silence on this matter. So this will be interesting to see what happens.
Their response has been...
Yep. So let's see. There's that. Dang, I actually post a lot of things to our Facebook page.
But what about movie watch?
Hold on, we're going to get to that. Don't worry. Logitech has acquired the streaming controller maker Loopdeck.
Yippee.
Like, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. The Super Mario Brothers theme has been... it's the first... Sorry, the Super Mario Brothers theme is now the first piece of video game music to be enshrined in the National Recording Registry with the Library of Congress.
Nifty.
And
you were just like picking random shit this week, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, well, no, dude. Like this is all stuff that's been posted to the Facebook page. If you
which is all random shit.
Yeah, that's actually not that far off. Rockstar Games shut down the real life Cluck and Bell restaurant.
No.
So there had been a pop-up restaurant during, I don't know, some sort of video game convention. I don't remember what they said it was. And then there was plans to turn it into an actual one. And so Rockstar put a kibosh on that. And yeah, Borderlands Movie Watch. We have a release date.
Which is?
Is it for after I die?
I don't know. Are you going to die before, like, on or before August 9th, 2024?
Probably not.
Yeah, no, rather unfortunate. Anyway, so that is the release date. And what was funny is that the Facebook page kept deleting and then adding in their thing. And so the original post that I put up just shows like this content has been hidden by the original owner. So that's fun. But then Gearbox is also, and the official Borderlands video game Facebook page have also posted it. So it's there, but we still don't have a trailer.
That doesn't shock me. It's probably terrible.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if it is. I mean, they were shooting that thing back in 2021. So.
Oh, Jesus. This is going to be a fucking train wreck. I can't wait now.
I love that while you're discussing news, I'm just like cleaning off game cases.
I'm playing a video game, so.
I'm sitting here with Angus in my lap. My dog.
Got some games off of Mercari today.
What'd you get?
I got Blaze Blue Calamity Trigger.
Okay.
Fracture.
Okay.
Shaun White Snowboarding Target Edition.
I still have that and Fracture. Fracture, honestly, I thought that game was better than a lot of people made it out to be.
And then Shaun White Skateboarding Target Edition.
I don't have that. New.
Still sealed.
Was the game any good?
I don't know. It's fucking sealed.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, but Joe, it's not like you've ever it's not like you never rebuy games. So
I've never played
I didn't know. Okay, that's what I asked.
Listen here, fuck snort.
Thimber is saying Ant Stream Arcade is now live.
Oh shit! Yeah, that thing.
We are going to talk about that probably next week on the show. I'm not sure if it's going to be Tuesday or Thursday. Depends on if anyone else gets it besides me.
Can we get review subscriptions?
What exactly is it?
It is a service of 1,300 plus retro games.
Oh.
From like arcade, Atari, Amiga, NES. They boast that they have PS1 games, but there's only 2. So they're still working on their library, but it's got promise.
Either of those PS1 games, Legends of Dragon?
No, come on.
God damn it. I can hope.
Yeah, wish in one hand, shit in the other. See which one fills up first.
Oh, probably the one with hope, because I'll throw the one that has poo in it at you.
Yeah, because that one filled up first. Speaking of reviews, should we get to them? There's only a couple tonight.
Sure.
Jacob, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Or did you have more shitty news to talk about?
No, I always save movie watch for the end. So
thank God. All right, first game to talk about tonight is EXOPRIMAL, developed and published by Capcom, released July 14th on Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, and PC for $59.99. EXOPRIMAL is an online team-based action game that pits humanity's cutting-edge exosuit technology against history's most ferocious beasts, dinosaurs. Aki, what is going on in EXOPRIMAL?
Okay, I have to stay positive. Okay, so in this, you make your own custom character. It doesn't really matter. They're silent. You see them in the background and cutscenes, and that's it. They never talk. They're useless. And you are signing up for this company, and they have this cutting-edge exosuit technology to protect people from random fucking portals that pop open and just spill a shit ton of dinosaurs out. I don't know. They just do. So you're like, yes, I want to do my part. And yeah, so you do that. And because you're brand new, they're like, we're gonna set you on, some easy stuff to do first. Basically just flying around this empty fucking island that doesn't need protecting in the first fucking place because literally no one's on it and hasn't been in over 20 years. But hey, easy job, just to make sure you're really suited for killing dinosaurs. So we're going to put you in a place where you don't really fight any dinosaurs because you're flying in a plane around the area. Company makes a lot of sense. And, your plane crashes because something has to go fucking wrong for the game to actually start in this game. And you get teleported into an alternate reality / maybe the past, where you are pitted with a group of other random people to fight some dinosaurs, and you're against another team because this is not the Left 4 Dead / EDF style game that all the marketing displayed it as at all, sadly. So in this, you're given originally I thought there was only one map. But there's a few of them, and there's a few different end game types for it, I guess we'll call it. Every game is just one game mode, specifically. It is Dino Survival, and that's just what it's called. And what happens is you get teleported, and you get teamed up with 4 other people, and you're against 5 other people. Obviously, it's 5v5. And you guys go out and you kill some dinosaurs that appear out of portals. And what you're trying to do is kill them faster than the other team. Because it's a race. And if you lose, you die. And fuck you, I guess, is really all there is to that. After you beat a handful of waves, as you level up, the waves seem to get a little longer. Once you get to the end, of that, you get teleported to a new area. And then you have your final mission, basically, where you actively compete against the other players, most of the time anyways. Because for most of the standard first part of the game, you can't actually interact with the other people, the other team. You can only see them as like highlights after you've beaten the dinosaurs in this little section and you're moving on to the next one. You can see what they're generally doing in an outline of their color. But when you get to the last one, you're both in the same area, so you guys can actually fight. And that sucks a lot, actually. Some of the game modes are, there's the most prominent one that I found and is also on the most prominent map, which I've played almost exclusively, is in the city, and basically you're waiting for this slow-moving transport to carry this cube from point A to point B. You have to defend it from dinosaurs, and then eventually also from the other team as they're doing the same thing. It kind of sucks. There's also a mode where you get sent back to basically the beginning of the level, and you basically redo that same time thing where you're competing against the other players, and you're just fighting a lot more dinosaurs, and you get much more dangerous dinosaurs, and that one's significantly more fun. Or you get the one where you have to get to different points and hold them to start gaining points. And that's misery incarnate too.
Jeez.
Yeah, like there's so much wrong with this game. And throughout, as you play maps and level up and all this other fun stuff, you get tiny fragments of the story. Because the whole thing of the story is you're trying to figure out how to get off the island. Because again, your plane's crashed and your crew has to figure out how to rebuild this plane and get it functioning to get the fuck out of there. But they also need to solve all the other questions that they have, like, why the fuck do you keep getting teleported wherever the fuck you're getting teleported? How are you getting teleported? Why are you getting teleported? For what reason? Etc., etc. They have all these questions, and as you play through levels, you get little pieces of information, more or less, that you can go in and view, and it gives you, a minute or two of story, and you might get maybe 1 to 3 of those for each time you go into a level and play through it. And eventually they unlock proper full cutscenes that aren't usually particularly long either. And the whole thing is playing this mode enough times that you get all of that solved so you don't have to play the game anymore. At least if you're me, anyways.
It seems like this is something where, like, it looks good, it plays good. I've put a little bit of time into this myself. It plays really well. It just, the problem is it's not entertaining. And the biggest reason is because of the PvP element to the game. Like, I was with you. I thought this was going to be PvE only, or at least options for PvE only. Where
that's what they marketed it as, was PvE. It was supposed to be a Left 4 Dead-like game. You were supposed to team up with your friends and kill the shit out of dinosaurs. That's it.
But surprise, there's a competing team in there. So
yeah.
It seems like it's a missed opportunity for something really, really special that they screwed up because they wanted to force PvP in there. And I would love to see this game, I don't want to say scrapped and redone, but I would just love to see it retooled as a strictly PvE style game. I think it would give it more longevity. I think people would enjoy it more. Because the game's not setting the world on fire so far. And that's even on Game Pass. Yeah, and like one of the real drawbacks about it being the PvPvE, technically is what it is. One of the worst aspects of that is that the entire thing, it always shows like hundreds and hundreds of dinosaurs going at people in cutscenes. And you get maybe 100 or 2 in the entire level or something, and that's it, out of multiple portals.
as you go along. And it's just like if they had gotten rid of the PvP part of that and made it PvE, they could drop like 1,000 dinosaurs in at like a time, and it would make the game so much more fun. Because then
there is some potential good news. How many games did you play?
I think 12 or 13.
Because apparently you need to play like 15 to unlock everything. And that includes they have 10-person raids in.
Oh, that might make it a little better.
I've been checking on other comments on the game and reviews on the game, and everyone seems to say the same thing. Like the first 3 hours of the game is fucking terrible, but once it opens up and you've unlocked everything, it's better. And I think we should revisit this in a week or two and see if we could get further in and see if it's salvageable.
I can easily do that because, again, when I'm fighting the dinosaurs, I enjoy that aspect. I would enjoy it more if there were more dinosaurs, because many times, because there's 5 people, including you on your team, and usually one of them's one of the heavy guys with the fucking chain gun, you can just stand in one place and just mow down the dinosaurs because not enough of them spot out. It's so easy to never have to move. And I'm just like, maybe, okay, so it's not too hard to get through the levels. It's hard to win. The other team's cheap assholes every time.
Well, first impressions are always the most important, and at $60, I think the first impressions on this one are pretty rough. We are going to come back to it in a week or two and talk more about it. But for $60 right now, what do you think?
No, not at all.
All right.
No.
What about Game Pass? Try it.
If you have Game Pass, go ahead and try it. It ain't gonna hurt. I don't think you're gonna play it for very long. I think it's gonna wear out its welcome before you unlock everything.
Yeah, but that's our job. That's what we got to figure out. So we'll talk about this one more down the road.
Yeah, I just hope that they make like just a co-op, 5v the environment only mode that still lets you go through all the campaign.
I'm thinking that the 10-person raid mode might be the sweetness if what people are saying online is true. They're saying that they're like, once you get to the carnage modes and the 10-person raids, then you realize how freaking good the game is, allegedly.
Okay, then I can't wait for that, because that might turn my thoughts around on this. But man, I've played this longer than 3 hours. And I'm just like, this is not particularly fun currently. I think they need to unlock that a hell of a lot earlier if that's where it gets good.
All right. Well, next game is Risky Woods QUByte Classics, developed by PIKO Interactive, published by QUByte Interactive, released July 13th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5 for $9.99. You, the young warrior Rohan, have arrived to deliver justice to the evil hordes. With weapons in hand, you must enter the Risky Woods and free the monks from their petrified captivity. Only when you've set the monks free and sent Draxos back to hell will wisdom be restored for good. Jacob, what is going on in Risky Woods?
It's a whole lot of bullshittery in this game. So it is a retro action platformer from like 1995, 1996. So and it's a 2D one. Let me just get that out of the way. This is part of that QUByte Classic series that brings back like a lot of forgotten retro games and gives them, a new chance at life. So let me warn you, the game really doesn't tell you what exactly to do. It's a lot of figuring out by yourself. So you may want to try and see if you can find a manual for it online to help explain everything. That's what I had to do. And you're playing this guy who has to go free all of these monks in the forest because they hold all this knowledge that, the world needs to be able to run and stuff like that. And of course, there's all these like monsters and like ghouls and, and stuff hiding out in the forest. Standard fantasy action platformer stuff. And what you have to do is obviously you have to kill, you don't have to kill them all, obviously, because they're going to keep respawning and stuff. But, kill the monsters, free the monks, and eventually you'll get to a boss at the end of a couple of levels. And frankly, like originally I had told Joe, I don't know if I want to review this. I'm not that great at these games. This game continued to confirm that, yes, Jacob is in fact not great at these games.
Are you great at any type of game?
I'm better at 3D action platformers. Like 2D always throws me for a loop. Like
Is that because of the sheer amount of children's games you've played?
I think it's really just because like I didn't really get into gaming until by the time that most games were already in 3D. Like I mean, there were plenty of games I got to play when I was a kid on my Mac computers, but most of them weren't platformers. It was a lot of text adventures. It was just a lot of text adventures, point and click adventure games, and stuff like that. And by the time that like I had a CD-ROM drive on my computer, like, you know, I was already getting into like Doom and Marathon and Descent and stuff like that. So I'm fine in a 3D environment, but 2D has always been a weakness for me. But anywho, so anyways, you have your trusty knife, which you can throw infinite amount of times. However, there are other weapons that you can get either by random power-ups that, you know, the monsters will drop. Sometimes they just drop randomly from the sky, even though you didn't kill anything. There's also a shop that you can use to upgrade your weapons with using all the coins that you pick up. And yeah, you use all that stuff to, as I said, free the monks. But of course, the monks are trapped in stone, and there's no way to know what kind of monk you're going to get. Are they good? Well, if they are, then they're going to give you some sort of bonus that'll help you move throughout the level. If they're bad, they're going to attack you. And yeah, and there's no way to know until you've freed the monk. And on top of that, random power-ups that drop, you have to be careful because some of them are good, some of them are bad. If they're good, you know, you replenish weapons, you replenish health, you get more time to complete the level, you know, extra lives, all that kind of stuff. If they don't, if it's a bad item, it might set you back a few screens. It might kill you immediately. Who knows?
Is there a color difference or anything in between good and bad ones at all?
Not that I could figure.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, well, no, I mean like certain items, but the thing is that it's a lot of trial and error with this game. And the game eventually, I think you only get 3 continues on it, I think. Which naturally I used up and had to continually restart the game. I'm just not good at the game. So I wasn't having a particularly good time, but the thing is that like I admit that this is also a weakness in my gaming. So the thing is that would I recommend it? Not necessarily, but if you're looking for a classic, like, well, I don't know if I'd say classic because this is literally the first time I'd ever heard of this game. But if you're looking for like a good retro action platformer to check out, Risky Woods like seems like it's going to give you a decent challenge if you're looking for it.
Well, it's $10. What's your verdict?
If you're somebody like me, no. But if you are better skilled at older games, then yeah, totally go for it.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Next game, Maquette, developed by Graceful, Decay, published by Annapurna Interactive, released July 19th on Xbox One and Series X and S for $19.99. In Maquette, you will explore the scales of everyday problems in a modern-day love story where sometimes the smallest of issues can become insurmountable obstacles. Aki, what is going on in Maquette?
Not that. Okay. In Maquette, you're, I think, losing your fucking mind. Basically, you start off walking through this weird garden and hearing a man's voice. I don't know if it's supposed to be your character's voice as he's thinking back on the past, or if it's his lover's voice reading his journal, because it's kind of implied it could be either direction. And basically, you're teleported into this fantastical world where you're in this really nice pagoda, basically. And it has a rather sizable city in the middle of the pagoda that's, you know, like a model city. And anything you move in that city actually moves outside of the pagoda because it's actually in the center of that city. So if you pick up a block that's in there and drop it somewhere outside, a big block appears outside. Or if you pick up that smaller block and place it outside from under the pagoda, you can then walk back to the pagoda and you see an even smaller version of it sitting on the ground wherever you dropped it. So it's a little freaky deaky twisted. And yeah, you do that to solve the puzzle of how to get the fuck out that bitch. Realistically. And there's always 4 areas outside of the pagoda, north, south, east, west. And each one is tied to some event in this couple's life. And you're basically more or less retracing some of their fond memories while solving puzzles, trying to figure out how to move to the next level. These are not the most... They're simple puzzles as long as you're thinking outside the box in the way the game wants you to, which I'm not particularly great at, because once I get used to a mechanic, I'm like, okay. And then I stop thinking about the ability for there to be other mechanics. So, like, when I said you can pick stuff up, you can make things smaller and larger. If you, like, drop an item outside from under the pagoda, you can walk over, you pick up a smaller version of it, and you can keep moving it, dropping it outside, and picking up an even smaller version inside the model kit over and over and over. Or you can do it the other way until you can no longer pick the item up. Because I kept using it to enlarge things in order to solve puzzles, usually for the first level, it's basically just making bridges, more or less. At the very end of that level, you had to do it to make something smaller, and I sat there for probably 2 hours trying to figure out how to solve this puzzle, and it's you have to make something smaller and use it in the model kit instead of outside. And I'm like, I haven't had to do that before. Ooh. I eventually had to look up how to do it because I'm like, I really can't figure this out.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, it's very simple because once you see what needs to be done, you're like, oh, no shit. Why didn't I think of that? That's so obvious. But in the time, sometimes it just makes you go the exact opposite direction of what you've been doing the entire rest of the level. So you get tripped up into thinking, well, obviously this way is the correct way, when suddenly now you have to do something different, which makes it really fun. It makes it surprisingly difficult, even though it's very simple. But each level basically gives you a new bunch of puzzles to solve. It's still basically the same layout, but things change. Like, for instance, the first level is a lot of it is just building bridges, more or less, and walking, picking up things, moving them around, and that's it. Whereas the next one, there's crystal thingies that you can pick up that get rid, if you bring it near another crystal of that color, it gets rid of it, which causes things to move in the environment and stuff, so you can get through places and things like that. So each successive level changes up how the world interacts and how you have to interact with it, even though it's basically the same world. And yeah, you get story throughout this. Parts of it is just white text that appears just floating in different areas that you have to read. Other times you might interact with something, and then there's a very short cutscene where sometimes a painting shows up, and as it's being painted and drawn and stuff, you hear the characters talking about what's going on in their life at that point and stuff like that. It's a really cute game, and really nice puzzles. I do enjoy it, and it has lots of colors, so that's always nice. And I think that's about it.
Well, did you enjoy it for the asking price of $19.99?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that is very much worth the time, because if you don't have a walkthrough, you're probably going to spend a good... There's, I think, like 9 levels in this game, and you're probably going to spend a good fair, probably 15 hours in the game, would be my guess, if you don't know what you're doing. And for those of you who are like, I just want to get through this real fast, there are walkthroughs because this has been a game on PC for a while now, and there are achievements in the game for beating each level fairly quickly. And I think the longest level is like beat it in under 10 minutes, and most of the rest of them are like beat it in under 5-ish.
Jeez.
So yeah, you can beat them fast. It ain't easy.
Just got to figure it out first.
Yeah, you had to figure it out first, and then you probably have to try it a couple times, because I know I played the very first level twice and got it. First time was just playing it, and then the second time I was like, I'm just going to speed through this. The second level took me like 3 or 4 tries. So yeah, but yeah, it's fun. It's not bad, and it's something that you can easily 100%. So
nice.
Yay for all the achievement hunters. Go have fun with it. It's great.
All right. Well, we have one final game to talk about, but Jacob, you're not allowed to be there.
Wait, what? Why?
Because we have to murder you.
What?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you weren't there for the recording, so we have to find some way to write you off the show.
Oh, well, that's fine, because my phone is at 9%. So.
Okay.
Does that mean I get to shank him?
Well, his phone's going to die, so I guess that's close enough.
Yeah.
Oh.
Am I supposed to give like final words or anything like that?
Sure,
no,
if you want.
I'll say your eulogy. Don't worry.
No, I don't trust you, Aki.
That is a very good call, Jacob.
Yeah. So instead, my final words, and this is going out just for Joe, sausage fingers.
All right, and finally tonight we are bringing in our good friend Grant Henry. Grant, how are you doing?
I'm good. I missed the Viking Guitar party, but I'm here now.
You did, but you're here now, and we're going to talk about a really, really cool game. So I think that's going to make up for it.
I think you're right.
You think I'm right? What do you think, Aki?
I think they're right, and someone's actually in here listening to us. Holy shit.
Yeah. What's up, Vlad? Viewfinder, developed by Sad Owl Studios, published by Thunderful Publishing, released July 18th. On PS5 and PC for $24.99, challenge perception, redefine reality, and reshape the world around you with an instant camera. Viewfinder is a new single-player game offering gamers hours of interesting fun and experiences while uncovering the mysteries left behind. Grant, what are the mysteries left behind?
Well, I got a bunch of pictures, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? That's the mysteries?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Viewfinder, we talked about this. Not yet. But
you're working
maybe in the
it.
DLC.
Did I hear nudes? What are we talking about?
Sorry, Aki. I knew that would get her attention. Should have known better. Damn it.
I left the room to go get my phone, and I immediately rushed back.
We talked about Viewfinder on the podcast a few weeks ago, the demo for something. I guess it was PS5 demo. I played the PC demo, but it's out.
I wanted that, but it's not on Xbox.
No, one day.
Maybe
perhaps.
Eventually. I know Annapurna is good about bringing their games to multi-platforms. I know Stray's on the way, so hopefully Viewfinder's like a year and a half away.
Is Stray on the way? Because I want to play that one
yes.
too. Okay, that's
I
nice.
believe next month.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've already called it. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I'm looking forward to playing that.
It's been on PC. I don't know if your PC is good enough to play it, but it's been on PC for a while, I think.
Yeah, it has. I kind of wanted to be able to play the cat game on the couch, with my wife if she cares.
Fair enough.
So, my PC's down in the dungeon. So, but
I played. Up and attach it to your TV screen and have a supercomputer screen.
If you knew what would be involved in that, it's a whole thing. But no, not today. Not today. I'm just so I don't know. Straight. Luckily, I do have a decent machine, so I can play some of these games. And this wasn't a particularly long one, but I just couldn't wait for a port of this. We've been excited about this one for a while.
Yeah, I've been super hyped about this one. I've been playing it myself. I've been watching people stream it. It's been fun to just watch people and see how they approach these puzzles.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of game. I can't imagine the amount of testing they went through for something like this. It was the same I was really fun listening to the Portal commentary where they talked about what puzzles they had to test the most just because everyone played them so differently. But this is a first-person puzzle game sort of in the family of Portal, Unfinished Swan, Superliminal, which was out a few years ago, and a little bit of Antechamber, which was a really weird one. But this plays quite differently. It's first person, and you don't. The main mechanic involves pictures and artwork. It basically sort of blurs the line between 2D and 3D environments, where you can take a photo of something, then place that photo in 3D space, and then that photo becomes 3D space. So if you take a picture of stairs, you can place that photo up against a wall, and it will put a staircase up against the wall, but not just the stairs, like the entire picture, the color of the picture. If there was a wall above this, if there was a place above, if there's a sky above the stairs in your picture, it's just going to put sky in the world. It's very weird, and it's very hard to describe.
When you first take that picture and lower your hand and the picture's just there, you think, what happened? And then you move an inch to the left and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's the kind of game that a GIF or just a quick video or the trailer really kind of, once you see it in action, you get the idea. But they utilize these mechanics in a number of ways that make you think. You can spin pictures around. You could take a picture of a building and turn it sideways if you want, and walk on it. Like, there's stuff like that. That's the main mechanic. The mechanics do change a bit over time. There's some variations. An example of one of those is that there are some items in the world that they're blue items that you just can't take pictures of. You're not able to. They don't like your camera, and so that creates some obstacles for you. And there's stuff like that. There are a number of these, and most of them involve camera tricks. And I won't explain anymore, but they're cool, and I feel like the game stays pretty fresh over its short runtime. I will say that I feel like the game really did pick up near the end, and I kind of wish it would have gone a little longer. But I definitely never got bored with it.
And there is wanting more at the end.
Yeah, things kind of like, I won't say what it is, but they pick up in the last level, like really pick up, like a bit more breakneck than the experience you've had up to that point. And it would be cool to see a little more of that, or maybe some additional challenge levels or something. But I imagine they're going to go and support this thing. I hope it's doing well for them. There is a story in this game. I won't talk too much about it, but in my opinion, the story, it's cool, but it doesn't really align with the gameplay mechanic very well. Like, there is a story and it makes sense what's going on, but the photo part of things, they feel a bit separate. I think that's okay. And if you don't choose to interact with the story, you can just ignore all the old radios that are scattered around the world. The telephone ring will occasion with this overly excited British lady that is telling you sort of what to do or where to go, or stuff. But you don't have to interact with that stuff if you don't want to. If you just want to play puzzles, you can do that. It's a lovely game. Very pretty. It's not technically crazy as far as just raw visuals, but man, the stuff they've done with the way the world can break from these photos, it's really impressive. I've never seen a game like this before, and it's rare that you can say that anymore. I feel like we feel like we've seen everything, and then something like this comes along.
Just breaks brains.
It's nuts. Like sometimes you're just picking up photos in the world and using them, and sometimes you can take your own pictures. There are also pieces of art you can sort of go in on occasion. There's not as much of the art stuff, but there's some of that there. You can rewind time, so if you fall off a ledge or screw up or place a picture badly, you can double tap the rewind button and it goes right back to to the previous step you'd taken before that. So, and you'll be doing it a lot of trial and error in this game. But yeah, it controls really well, not frustrating. Good quality of life stuff in this game. A couple things, the UI isn't particularly good, but you don't really have to interface it with it too much once you get things set up. I ran into a lot of issues with voiceovers playing on top of each other. Yeah. The little virtual cat would be talking to me, and then also, but after I had clicked on a radio, so they're just sort of talking over each other, and I'm just sort of reading two sets of subtitles at once. That's fine. It's okay. Maybe it's something they'll fix, but it didn't cause any real problems. The music is pretty sparse. It's mostly long sort of pads and ambience. Not a lot going on the audio front, but I think they're just trying to create sort of a peaceful environment for you to think about what you might need to do. Not a lot of big fat beats dropping. That's okay. It all felt appropriate. Not a big sounding sound package, but I think it's fine. Nothing distracting, which is nice for a game where you're going to have to stare at something for a long time. It's not a very long game. I finished all the levels and all the optional levels in just over 4 hours. So not very long. Was it $25?
Yep, $24.99. What is your verdict on this one?
I think this game is super special. I don't think I've ever played a game like this before. I don't think anyone has. It takes a lot for you to look at a game in motion for just a few seconds and go, wow.
Yeah.
I showed a bit of it to my wife and she was like, what? Like she probably screamed something out like this is the future or some sort of something like that. But it's nuts. It's really something, and it's so special. And it's not a very long experience, but it's clearly the thoughtful puzzle design, more about quality than quantity. So it is 25.
This is handcrafted. It's not procedural. So
no, absolutely. Maybe they could do something like that in the future. But incredible experience. And I think I might just have to go back and kind of and go through some stuff again just to kind of see how nimble I feel now that I know all the tricks they're trying to pull. But I absolutely would recommend this game. So.
About how long is the game?
I played it in just over 4 hours to full completion.
You've already beaten it then.
I did finish it. I beat them all. I beat all the levels except for one optional level, and that I ended up looking up and don't think I would have figured out what to do. And it involved one object. It was like, it looked so simple.
Is it a watermelon?
It involved a watermelon.
How would you have ever guessed that, Aki?
Because we totally didn't already record this, and it aired totally. No, we'd never do that to our viewers.
No, we never fuck up. Never.
Nope.
The show runs flawlessly.
That would have been an OBS, not us.
Flawlessly.
Yeah.
Flawless. Grant, so it's a buy it, you think?
It's a buy it. It's just, if you like first-person puzzle games, if you're a Portal kid, it's just great. I'm just so impressed with what they were able to do. I have no idea. I do music and sound in games. I'm not a technical artist. I don't know what they're doing to make this stuff work, but boy, it's special. So definitely give it a look.
Cool. All right. Well, that is it for this episode. We made it through. Grant, thank you for coming on, doing your thing at the end here. Aki, thanks for hanging out the whole show. Shout out to Jacob for existing, I guess. And big thanks to the Viking Guitar live crew. Alexander Brandon for coming on and hanging out. Grant, you should check it out. They're a pretty good group of guys. They do some jazzy music. I think you would like it.
I only listen to dubstep reggae, so not a lot of guitars in there. It's a real thing.
Can you make a dubstep reggae song for this show?
Hell no. No way. We were out of town a couple of years ago. It was this we went to this little place. We were sitting on this. It was a little sort of beachy area, and these bikers, these mountain bikers, came up, and they were super friendly. They're like, "Do you guys care if we play a little music?" Instead of just cranking their JBL, they're like, "Hey, do you guys mind?" And we're like, "Thank you for asking, absolutely." And it was dubstep reggae. It was the first and last time I've heard it, and to this day, I've never been the same.
I think that's...
So fuck you, Joe.